What separates the people who spend their lives being overlooked from the few who become untouchable isn't talent, luck, or intelligence. It's the moment they finally look in the mirror and declare the person staring back obsolete, not in need of repair, but complete demolition. Right now, the people around you have you mapped out. They know your triggers, your fears, what makes you fold, what makes you try too hard. They know the version of you that shows up every single day. And the trap most people fall into is simple. They keep delivering that same version over and over, hoping for a different outcome. But hoping doesn't change the game. Understanding the mechanics of power does. Niccolo Machiavelli dissected influence, not the polished version you hear in commencement speeches, but the raw, often uncomfortable reality of why some people rise while others are systematically used and discarded. His findings weren't comforting. They were a mirror to a truth most avoid. The world doesn't reward your inner world, it responds to what you project and how effectively you control what it can see. This isn't a video for a casual mindset shift. This is a protocol for people who are finished being the safe option, finished explaining themselves to deaf ears, finished waiting for a validation that will never come. We are going to systematically dismantle your old operating system and install a new one from the ground up. Pay attention, because each piece is a step you can't afford to skip. Before we begin, I want you to anchor this moment. Drop this in the comments. The blueprint ends here. **1. The strategic value of the crash. ***. Most people believe strategy is a luxury reserved for the top. You need leverage, status, and a safety net before you can think tactically. Machiavelli would dismiss that as a fantasy. True strategy isn't born in comfort, it's born in the rubble after a betrayal, a public failure, a humiliating loss that strips away every illusion you had about yourself and the people you trusted. That moment isn't your end, it's your raw material. Consider what you lost. Before the collapse, you operated on assumptions. You assumed loyalty was a given. You assumed effort would be rewarded. You assumed your kindness was a shield. The collapse doesn't just hurt, it exposes those assumptions for what they were, fantasies, and while painful, destroying a fantasy is the first move of any serious strategist. Machiavelli noted that a wise leader never wastes the opportunity presented by a crisis. He wasn't talking about exploiting others, he was talking about using your own chaos to see clearly. Most people, when their world fractures, rush back to the familiar, slamming the door on that clarity. But the few who rebuild stronger? They don't run from the wreckage, they sit in it. They let the pain be data. Pain is just information your old self refused to process. Your current discomfort, that raw, uncertain feeling, is the most valuable currency you'll ever have. Don't scroll past it. Don't numb it. Listen to what it's telling you about who you trusted, where your habits were weak, and how your self-image didn't match reality. Drop this in the comments. **Why process the wreckage? ***2. The deconstruction of self. Here's a harsh truth no one in your inner circle will tell you. Your old identity isn't a victim of circumstance, it is the problem. Think about the version of you that was engineered by years of seeking approval, softening your opinions to avoid conflict, shrinking your presence to make others comfortable, and over-explaining your worth to people who were never going to buy it. That person was built to survive in a weak environment, not to command respect in a competitive one. And if you try to rebuild a stronger house on that same weak foundation, you're just delaying the next collapse. Machiavelli famously said you can judge a leader by the quality of the people around him. Let me extend that. You judge your future by the identity you're currently operating from. Your identity dictates your decisions dictate your circle dictates your life. So, destroying the old self isn't a metaphor for a fresh start, it's a surgical procedure. It means ending the relationships that only existed because your old self needed a validation fix. It means abandoning behaviors you've normalized for so long they feel like a personality. It means refusing to perform the role that everyone expects you to play. This isn't about becoming cruel, it's about becoming authentic. It's about building a self that isn't defined by other people's comfort zones. Most people never do this because it feels like a death, and it is. You will lose the approval of those who benefited from your compliance. Let it burn. You can't build a fortress on a landfill. Drop this in the comments. **Why raise the old structure? **3. Strategic silence and the power of the unknown. The world is a constant barrage of noise and unsolicited opinions. Everyone has a take on what you should do, who you should be, and why your past disqualifies you from a better future. The more recent your collapse, the more vulnerable you are to these voices, because pain makes us crave connection, even bad connection. This is precisely where most people sabotage their own transformation by letting someone else narrate their comeback before it even begins. Machiavelli understood that to change your conduct, you must first change the environment that dictates it. And the first environmental change is silence. You have to step back from the people who feel entitled to have an opinion on your life. You have to get off the platforms designed to keep you comparing yourself to others. You have to be willing to be alone long enough to hear your own thoughts over the noise. Silence isn't a retreat, it's a reconnaissance mission. When you go quiet, you stop leaking emotional data. You stop giving people the cues they use to predict your behavior. And most importantly, silence creates mystery. When people can't read you, they can't manipulate you. They become uncertain, and uncertainty in others is leverage. Stop explaining your next move before you make it. Stop announcing who you're becoming before you've done the work. Go underground. Observe. Rebuild where no one can see you. Drop this in the comments. Why build in the dark? For forensic self-audit. When most people look back at their past, they default to one of two modes, shame or nostalgia. They either beat themselves up for the failures or romanticize the good old days. Both are emotional responses, and emotional responses are useless for strategic growth. A strategist doesn't look at the past with feelings, they look at it with questions. Where exactly did I expose my flank? At what precise moment did emotion override my judgment? When did I ignore a red flag because I wanted the situation to work out? When did I trade respect for temporary belonging? Machiavelli advised studying the greats to understand how to win. But before you can imitate victory, you must dissect defeat. Your history isn't a story to be ashamed of, it's a case file. Every betrayal, every failed venture, every time you were played, there's a pattern in there. You need to find it, name it, and write it down. Because the greatest tragedy isn't being hurt, it's being hurt and learning nothing. That's how people end up in the same toxic cycle with different faces. Use your past like intelligence data. Identify the triggers that made you react instead of act. Identify the type of person you consistently overinvest in. Then, and this is critical, design your new self as the countermeasure to those specific weaknesses. Not by becoming paranoid, but by becoming precise. Drop this in the comments. I analyze, I don't agonize. ***5. Resource management, cutting the leaks. ***, you cannot build a formidable force while bleeding out from 100 tiny wounds. Most people who want to change drastically underestimate how much of their daily energy is siphoned off before they even start. There are people in your life right now who operate as emotional vampires, relationships built entirely on your giving and their taking. There are habits you've normalized, like doom scrolling or half-hearted commitments, that feel benign but are quietly eroding your discipline and sense of agency. Machiavelli used the metaphor of the fox and the lion, the fox to avoid traps, the lion to scare off wolves. To be the fox, you must see your life with absolute clarity. And to see clearly, you have to eliminate the static. This means making ruthless, not angry, evaluations of your circle. Ask the cold question, does this person make me stronger or more confused? Does this interaction leave me energized or drained? People who drain you aren't always bad, they're simply incompatible with the trajectory you're on. Keeping them out of guilt or history is a strategic error. The same applies to your habits. Every hour spent on distraction is a resource leak. Treat your life like a controlled system. Every input evaluated, every output measured. This isn't obsession, it's seriousness. Winners aren't luckier, they're just more selective with their energy. Cut the leaks. Now. Drop this in the comments. I stop the bleed. ***6. Projecting the new form. ***, you've done the internal work. You've identified the weaknesses, cut the drains, and rebuilt in silence. Now comes the phase most people botch, the reconstruction of your external presence. Understand this. The world doesn't respond to what you intend, it responds to what it perceives. Two people can undergo the exact same internal transformation, but if one understands how to project that change through posture, through pacing, through what they choose to reveal, their outcomes will be completely different. Machiavelli pointed out that everyone sees what you appear to be. 2. Few experience what you really are. This isn't cynicism, it's operational reality. You need a new image, not a fake one. Projecting what you haven't yet become is a recipe for collapse under pressure, but you must be deliberate about your presentation. Mystery is a force multiplier. When people sense depth but can't access it, they assign you more weight. They tread carefully. They respect the unknown. So, stop over-explaining your decisions. Stop justifying yourself to people who haven't earned the right to an explanation. Stop filling every silence with chatter. Let your presence do the work. Walk into a room as if you've already decided something. Respond to provocations with calm, not reaction. Let your results announce you. Drop this in the comments. My presence is my statement. 7. Constructing the psychological perimeter. As you begin to embody this new version of yourself, a predictable response will occur. You will be tested. Some tests will be conscious old rivals, or people who profited from your former weaknesses will try to provoke you, hoping to pull you back into your old patterns. Others will be unconscious old friends and family, comfortable with the old you, will subtly resist your growth because your change forces them to confront their own stagnation. Machiavelli noted that a leader's brain is revealed by the men he keeps. Your psychological perimeter is about deciding before the tests come what gets through and what doesn't. Distractions that don't serve your goals, blocked. Provocations designed to get a rise out of you, ignored. Opinions from people who haven't earned the right to advise you, filtered out. This isn't arrogance, it's selectivity. There's a vast difference between a person who ignores everyone out of ego and a person who filters carefully because they understand focus is finite. Become unreactive. When someone expects you to explode and you give them silence, the power dynamic shifts instantly. You win without uttering a word. Your new self doesn't take the bait. It doesn't descend into pointless arguments. Let them talk. Stay focused. Drop this in the comments. Why don't react to bait. 8. Emotional sovereignty. There's a dangerous myth that emotional strength means being a robot, feeling nothing, expressing nothing, needing nothing. That's not what the great strategists practiced. Emotional discipline isn't the absence of emotion, it's command over it. It's the ability to feel the full force of anger, fear, or desire, and to choose how, when, and if to express it. Machiavelli acknowledged that it's better to be feared than loved if you can't be both. Note the if. He understood the value of warmth, but he also knew that a person who cannot control their emotional output will always be a puppet for whoever knows their buttons. Here's how emotional discipline works in practice. Someone disrespects you. Your instinct is to react immediately, to defend, to retaliate. The disciplined response. Observe the emotion. Label it internally, I'm angry. Let it exist without acting on it. Only then decide if a response is even worth your time. This isn't suppression, which leads to explosions. It's strategic expression. You decide what gets out, when, and why. Maintain distance without hostility. Be polite, even warm, without being vulnerable. When you do express emotion, whether it's displeasure or enthusiasm, it lands with impact because people know you don't broadcast it. Selectivity is power. Drop this in the comments. I command my emotions. They don't command me. 9. Evolution as the ultimate response. Let's address something real. After a betrayal, a humiliation, or an attempt to break you, there's a part of you that wants them to see your survival. You want them to know it didn't destroy you, it built you. That feeling isn't petty, it's fuel. The mistake is acting on it too soon, arguing, posting vague stories, or trying to prove you're fine before the growth had actually taken root. Machiavelli advised appearing as you wish to be. But the operative word is appear, and you can only authentically project what you've genuinely become. So, the most devastating form of response, the kind that can't be argued with, is simply evolving. Disappear. Rebuild. Then return as a version of yourself that makes it obvious the attempt to break you only made you more formidable. No explanations. No social media battles. Just results. When the person who used you, dismissed you, or tried to destroy you sees the new you with their own eyes, undeniably in real life, that's a permanent shift. Your evolution is the only response that matters. And here's the hidden layer. If you do the rebuilding right, you'll eventually stop caring whether they see it at all. Your success will no longer be for them, it will simply be yours. Drop this in the comments. My growth is my answer. *******10. The return without explanation. *****. Eventually, the private work becomes public. You re-enter professional, social or personal spaces, and people encounter the new you. How you handle this moment is critical. The instinct is to announce the change, to explain what you've been through, to list the work you've done. Resist that completely. Machiavelli said it's not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles. You don't need to tell anyone you've changed. Your presence will do that. Your responses will do that. The way you carry yourself, the decisions you make, the things you no longer react to, it all communicates the transformation without a single word. People should feel the difference before they can articulate it. That feeling, that subtle recognition that something has fundamentally shifted, is more powerful than any speech you could give. Return with presence, not explanation. Return with results, not promises. Return with options, not desperation. Your return isn't dramatic, it's quiet, assured, and unmistakable. The people who treated you like an option will notice. The people who underestimated you will recalibrate. None of this requires you to say a word. Drop this in the comments. My presence announces itself. ****11. The mindset of perpetual construction. The greatest danger for anyone who successfully rebuilds is stopping. They reach a level of comfort, better relationships, better results, and they settle. They relax. The urgency fades, discipline slips, and old patterns begin to creep back in, leading to the next, often more severe, collapse. Machiavelli noted that those who adapt to the times prosper, those who clash with them do not. The world is in constant flux. The career landscape changes. Relationships require maintenance. Personal weaknesses, once managed, don't disappear, they must be continuously managed. The strategist mindset isn't "I fix the problem." It's "I am always reading the situation." Never stop rebuilding. Not because something is broken, but because growth is a direction, not a destination. The version of you that wins today is not the version that will win in 5 years. The moment you think you've arrived, someone hungrier, more adaptable, still improving, is quietly closing the gap. Build continuous improvement into your identity, not as a burden, but as a standard. Adapt before you are forced to. Rebuild before the next collapse finds you. Drop this in the comments. I am always under construction. ****12. The 5 immutable laws. Everything we've covered condenses into 5 laws. These are the boundaries you do not cross, not when you're tired, not when you're emotional, not when circumstances seem to justify an exception. Treat these as the new operating system. Law 1. Never publicly display your wounds. Pain is real. Pain is data, but pain displayed in public becomes a weakness others can catalog and use. Process it privately with a therapist, a journal, your inner circle. But your external presence must never reveal where your soft spots are. Machiavelli said men judge by the eye more than the hand. What people see shapes what they believe. Protect your optics. Law 2. Cultivate a small, impenetrable circle. Quality over quantity, every time. 3 people who challenge you, support you, and hold you accountable are worth more than 30 who just enjoy your company in good times. A large, weak network is noise. A small, strong circle is infrastructure. Law 3. Observe before you express. Before every significant emotional expression, every message, every confrontation, every decision born of hurt, pause. Ask, what do I feel? What outcome do I want? Does expressing this serve that outcome? Sometimes it does. Most of the time it doesn't. Process first, act second. Law 4. Speak with intent, not impulse. Words spoken from emotion are almost always regretted. Words spoken with precision, delivered calmly, aimed at a specific outcome, these are the words that shift the dynamic in a room. Speak less. Make your words heavier. Law 2. 5. Never rebuild the same version twice. This is the law most violated. People go through a collapse, do some work, and then rebuild a slightly improved version of the same old identity. That's renovation, not reconstruction. It leaves the same foundation, the same core vulnerabilities. Rebuild differently. Don't upgrade the old model. Build a new one. Let each transformation open the door to the next. If you've made it this far, you recognize something in this blueprint that a casual viewer wouldn't. You're here because you're ready to stop being the person who gets broken the same way twice. The version of you that was hurt, used, and underestimated wasn't your final form. It was just what happened before you understood the game. Now you understand. Strategy begins in collapse. Identity is a choice, silence is a weapon, and evolution is the only valid response. The people who change their lives don't wait for perfect conditions. They start from exactly where they broken, uncertain, but decided. Be decided. If this gave you a framework you're going to use, hit the like button and share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Winds of Thought. We're building a library of real strategic thinking here. The most powerful version of you isn't behind you, it's ahead. Go build it. Drop this final affirmation in the comments. I am the new version.